Well, first of all, in Guatemala, I think that we have a very long political struggle as an indigenous people to be recognized as not as a tribal justice, but as a Mayan system of justice. Because what we have done is we have a common friend with Professor Robertson that was in Guatemala in the 90s, the end of the 90s. And together with her, we done it something like we said in Spanish, um, uh, sacrilege,
Okay.
legal sacrilege, we said, because we compare the national system of justice and the indigenous or the Mayan people system of justice. One of the questions that some of the judges and lawyers in Guatemala were asking us is that if in the Mayan legal system there is a civil right and if also a penal right, working rights, I think it's called, I don't know, el Código de Trabajo,
Mm-hmm. Labor.
labor rights. And the thing is that when you analyze the legal system of the Mayan people, you will see that there is not separated. It's all together. It's all inside only one system of justice. Whenever it's going to be applied for working problems or for civil problems or penal problems, you will use almost the same system. But anyway, in the 90s, I think was 1997, we systematized the different we can say branches of the legal system of the Mayan people, and we showed them that the Mayan legal system is almost completed, almost complete, or more completed than the national system, because we are not having, even that we don't have a written code in this moment, it doesn't mean that we didn't have that in the past. We have been forced to be a oral custom in this moment because some of you probably, if you wanted to know more about the Mayan people, you have to write or you have to read more history. But some of the historians that came from the Spaniards, he wrote that he was crying after he saw 3 months burning one of the bigger libraries of the Mayan people in Yucatan. So that means that our people, they used to write. It's not true that we have a oral custom, that we were forced to do that. So that's why we starting to write all these kind of issues in the legal system, and we were able to show them that our legal system is another legal system, not the legal system, the official legal system that we have in Guatemala. And that time also we were able to show them that applying the Mayan legal system, we had saved to the state millions of quetzales or dollars, if you wanted to say it in this moment, because the state was not able to be on those indigenous communities. So that means that no institution, no national institution are on those communities. So that means that national justice is not applying in those communities. So we need, or the community needs to have a legal system to apply when somebody is committing a felony or a crime. So the thing is that we were able to show that, and unfortunately, I am not the one who's going to qualify now how the people are applying the Mayan we can say the Mayan legal system in this moment. Because unfortunately, after 36 years of war, internal war in Guatemala, the custom that the people are starting to have is repression, is beating the people. So now they believe that that some of the customs or some of the way that they are applying the legal system of the Mayan people is to hit somebody. For example, this is something that I will say in Spanish. Por ejemplo, para aplicar la ley, tú tienes que más que represiva la aplicación, es más que todo una cuestión moral, es una cuestión de vergüenza. Y te castigaban con la aplicación de lo que le llamaban 40 latigazos. Pero esos latigazos no eran que 40 veces te iban a dar de latigazos, sino que era lo que le llamaban un manojo de ¿cómo se llama?, de ramas de árboles, con los cuales eran 20, te daban 2 nada más, no eran los 40 latigazos. So the thing is that now is changing the way of seeing that. Now, instead to give you only 2 of those 20 branches, they are giving 40. And that is almost, nobody's going to resist 40, I don't know how to say, lashes. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to resist those 40 lashes in this moment. So that's why those way of applying is changing. Why? Because we are losing some of the issues, because before, as I was saying in Spanish, it's not a repressive law that we have. It's to ashame somebody and to be and to apply like a moral punishment. Because when you commit a felony or you commit a crime, the thing is that it's not only you are putting your family in a shame in the front of the whole community. So that's why when they are calling you the attention in front of all the community, it's not only you, it's your whole family. So the thing is that you can imagine to put your family in that position is something that was very, very embarrassed to everybody. So that's why that was, and now, unfortunately now, the level of criminality that is taking place in our countries, not only Guatemala, but all Latin America, is something that is not going to work. So that's why now they are changing the way of applying. You can see the on TV or newspaper the application of the Mayan system of law, where there is one person who is in charge of applying that. But in front of the human rights system, international system, is against human rights, because you are punishing physically one person, and that is against human rights. So the thing is that now is a confrontation on applying the Mayan system or respecting human rights. That is the discussion that we have in Guatemala in this moment. But lynching is taking place in Guatemala. Many people, they are saying that that is a indigenous people's custom. But when you analyze the numbers of lynching, you are going to see that in indigenous community is less lynching than in the capital city. The problem is that they are putting more attention, the press, the TV, and all the media are putting more attention to the indigenous people applying of the Mayan system, and they are saying that the lynching is one part of the Mayan legal system. But that is not true. That is something that you can find in the Inquisition. You can see how the lynching took place there at that time. So that is not only indigenous peoples, and I believe that was not indigenous people custom of lynching. But anyway, that is something that we have to investigate more on that. Jurisdiction for us is that you are in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are in the community, you decide to live in the community. You decide also to be to be applied or to be subject of application of the community law. I remember in 1997 when we were discussing all these issues with Raquel. That's why I was talking about a common friend. We were talking about to create, because there was a confrontation among the two systems, especially the jurisdiction. We always said, and I always take the position of Mexican anthropologist Magdalena Gomez, which she said always that the application of the customary law, because in Mexico they say customary law, is the syndrome of el robo. Robo, how do you say robo?
The thief?
Robbery, maybe?
The robbing of a chicken.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Why? Because the national system believes that indigenous customary law is only applied to a small community and only for small felonies. Yeah? And not for a crime. That is the problem of the national system in Latin America. But we, in 1997, we were able to show them that was not true. Even we were more than that. We went beyond that. For example, there was a case that took place in the 80s. Two friends, and that took place about 70 kilometers from my community. They went away for about probably 20, 30 years from their community. After 20 years, they met again, and they were so happy that they went to a party and they got drunk. And when they were drunk, they started to discuss about one personal problem that they had when they were young, and there was they were in love on the same to the same girl, and that's why they were starting to discuss and they were starting to push. They were so drunk that one of them, he fell down and he hit his head in the banqueta, how do you say, sidewalk, and he died. The community came and said, well, they were drunk. It wasn't the fault of the other. They were discussing something where they were kids. It was not his intention to kill him. So the thing is that when they decide to judge him, they apply the Mayan system of law, and they decide that he will be in charge not only of his family, but the family of his friend, his wife, and his kids, until they will be older enough to survive by themselves. That means that he has to buy clothes, food, education, medicine, and everything. And all were agree with that. Finally, the local judge knew about that, and he started to persecute it. Not only the responsible of that, but the whole community, because they were accomplices of the death of the other person. So that's why we're starting to talk about the jurisdiction of law. In that time, we showed them the jurisdiction is in all the territory of the community, and if there's somebody coming to the community, has to be aware that it's going to be applied of that. Nothing is in writing. The only thing is that one of the problems that we face in that time is that legally they cannot discuss anymore with us that doesn't exist in Mayan legal system in Guatemala. Today, the recognition is a political issue. It's a political issue. Even some of the issues that we were afraid that they will not recognize have been recognized. Even the judges are respecting the application of the Mayan legal system in Guatemala. In some cases in the Lake of Atitlan, and some other places, they have been applying the Mayan legal system, and the judges when the one part is not agree with the application of the Mayan system, they go to the national judges, and they said always they apply the principle that nobody can be judged twice or for the same felony or crime, and that is recognizing
Yeah.
the legal system of the Mayan people. So that's why I'm saying now the problem is not the recognition on the legally the recognition of the Mayan people legal system. Now it's a politically. Now it's in the Congress that the problem there. But the practice is continuing the practice. And I believe that it's the same not only in Guatemala, in Mexico, in El Salvador, that even that they were for many years, they said that the indigenous people disappeared, they were killed everybody in the 1930s. Now there is 3 indigenous peoples who are now working there, and also Nicaragua, Costa Rica, everywhere, in Colombia. Colombia is something that that is growing up the application of the indigenous legal system. Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia. So I think that now the question is not if it's working. Now the question is that how the national government is going to recognize, because the recognition of the existence of another legal system is that for 500 years they have been very racist for not recognizing that legal system. You know that in Guatemala we are 22 different Mayan peoples. In the Quiche Mayan peoples, in some cases they don't have any choice. They have to be aware that the Mayan legal system will be applied. And in some cases they are agreed of the application of the Mayan legal system. Because the thing is that if you go to the national system of law, you have to pass through all those processes. And if you have a very good lawyer, you know that the law is only one, but depending on who is going to analyze, on who is going to interpret the law. With one article of the law, you can put in jail somebody, or you can get him or her out of the jail. It's depending on who is interpreting the law in our countries. Even here in the U.S. also, if you are very smart lawyer, you can free somebody who is guilty, and you can put somebody who is not guilty to jail if you are smart enough to interpret the law. Because of that, in some zones of the Quiche people, they know that if they put in the national legal system, they will see this person free in 2 weeks. Unfortunately, the national legal system is decadent because our system of law is very corrupt in this moment. So have problems. It's not only small judges, not only local judges, in the whole legal system in this moment. You can go and you can read the newspapers, even today newspaper. You will see how the Supreme Court, the election of the new Supreme Court members has been stopped because of the corruption. And because we have a international commission against the parallel powers and all the drugs and organized crime. We have a commission, international commission, named by the United Nations in Guatemala to monitoring all the application of law, the justice in Guatemala. And this commission stopped the election of the new members of the high court because the corruption. They were paying to the Congress people to be elected. And they are some people, I'm not sure because I don't know them, They were saying that they are the lawyers who are defending drug traffickers and all those kind of things, and they are involved in also in drug trafficking. So the thing is that you can see that, and that means that this system is dying. So that's why they are now they are recognizing more the Mayan legal system. And the thing is that about your question, if they prefer one or the other system, some people they prefer the other system because they know that even that they know that they are guilty, the person is guilty, they will be free. But that's because they don't want to confront the law. But some other, even I remember that is something that I never will be in favor of that. That was a case that is something that I saw about probably 10, 12 years ago. 1st of January, New Year. There was a case that a family, they knew that the two kids that they have, they were thieves. They were robbing everywhere. And the community has been already warning them, look, you have to take care of your sons because they are stealing everywhere. And if we are going to capture them, we don't know what we are going to do to them. So please see them, ask them to behave themselves. And finally, the 1st of January of that year, the community captured the 2 members of the family. And they called the family. They want the family to be in charge of these two young men. And the father of the two young men said, I don't know what can do. What can I do to correct them? I don't know. And the community asked him, what you want us to do? You can do whatever you want us to do with them. Even he didn't finish the sentence when the 2 young men started to burn out. They put on fire. They lynched them in front of all the family. And that is something that I am against, because that is not solving any problems in Guatemala. That is growing resentment on the peoples. So that's why that's why I'm saying that unfortunately the practice of lynching is coming to be part of the we can say the Mayan people's system of law, unfortunately, but that was not part of that. But anyway, it's in some cases people they prefer, but in the Quiche people they know that it's going to be applied in Mayan system of law. They have the power. They have the power. One example of how powerful they are is that when they wanted to mobilize the policemen and the army, they do. San Juan Zacatepeques, where our friend is coming from, about a month and a half ago, the community, there is a very strong problem in that community, extractive industries. Some people are against of a mining company, and some people they are in favor. It's something that is common everywhere. Some people they wanted to have jobs. Some people they don't want to sell their lands, and the community is divided. The people who are against and the people who are in favor of the mining. About a month and a half ago or a month ago, a problem came to the community. 11 members of a family were killed. The government is blaming the opposition of the mining. The opposition is blaming the companies. It's saying that the company were the ones responsible of the killing of those people. They captured about 12 members of the community who were against, but that was a political act also, because immediately after, not immediately, after 2-3 days they were free.
Yeah.
when they have to pay the bond. So 3 days after that, they were free. That is not possible if they are responsible of 11 killing. There will not be a bond for them. They have to be in jail. But anyway, I know some of the people who were captured, and they were not even there when this happened. They captured them only because they are against the mining. So it's a political issue there. But anyway, the thing is that they were able to move more than 1,000 police forces into a small community. Every day, the Mayan legal system is working, even that it's not a so, how do you say, public event is taking place every day. Is working the Mayan legal system. For example, we have in Sololá, Chichicastenango, Santa Cruz del Quiché, and some other places where the traditional Mayan authorities are working every day. And one difference between the legal system of the Mayan people and the official system is that the authorities in the Mayan system, they are not paid, they don't receive any salary. And everybody has to do this kind of work one day in their lives. So sometimes the community, you know that the community is very, very wise, they have a very wise form of working. If you don't like to work, for sure they will elect you to become part of this organization next year. You don't want to collaborate with the community, for sure you will be in that, to force you to work for the community. And that is what they are doing in some communities. So,
that's very smart,
Yeah.
because it means that you have people changing
Exactly.
positions. So today you're the judge, but tomorrow you might be the party.
exactly.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So you pay attention. You try and be fair. Yeah, that's very smart.
Exactly. Uh-huh. Fast. You save money. You save effort, human efforts. And the other thing is that is, well, as an indigenous person, I can say that it's more just, because they are not seeing that if you have money or you don't have money. And other thing is that is people from the community who knows the problems who are judging you. It's not people from outside that only because in the penal code it said this and this is going to apply the law. It's not a mechanical way of applying law. It's an analysis. Even some people, they laugh when we say this. But for example, I don't know here in New Mexico, but for example in the northern part of the U.S., especially the western part of the U.S. and also in Canada, the totems, you have a animal spirit in each of the peoples. I don't know how you call that. You have in Guatemala we say nahuales. Yeah, each person have one nahual, and the community is going to analyze even your nahual. Can be how do you say that in English? Puede ser. Oh my God, I always. Puede ser que te suba la pena o que te la reduzca.
El Nahual?
Sí.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah. So the penalty can be increased or reduced depending on
based
what
on
your
your,
animal
on your
spirit
soul, yeah, on your animal
Yeah.
spirit, on
Yeah.
your
Uh-huh.
soul. animal
Exactly,
spirit.
because you know our people believes that because you're Nahual, you can be able to behave, but you can also sometimes you cannot control that. Uh-huh. Even that. But other people doesn't believe on that, and that's why they are starting to laugh. But the community, they say, no, look, but we wanted to make a ceremony to control your Nahual and everything. So even ceremony is coming to be part of the application of law in the community. You know, there is a principle in the Mayan people. It said that your family is not only your dad and your mother and your brothers and sisters. You have an extensive family. Mainly when you got older and you got married, because now it's not going to be your family only your dad and your mom, but it's going to be the dad and you and the mom of your wife, and then cousin, uncles, aunties, and all the family is going to the family is going to be bigger and bigger every day. Yeah. And the thing is that those families is going to be, they have other families in other places. When you see almost all the community is a family. So when you commit we can say a felony or something, you are disrupting the harmony of the community. So how you are going to repair that harmony, to get again? Because sometimes the act that you had committed is disrupted the harmony of the community so badly that sometimes it's almost impossible to get together again. The only way that the community in Guatemala, the bigger or the higher sentence that the community is going to take is to, how do you say that, when they expel you from the community. Unfortunately, that is against international human rights system.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But the international human rights system now is trying to recognize that the indigenous people can do that.
The question that you raise actually has an even larger context when you get at the international level. Part of the challenge of negotiating the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples was that not just the U.S. system, but the entire international human rights system is built on the notion of individual rights.
Exactly.
And so this UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples was their first real collective rights instrument.
Yeah.
And that it was very hard. It was very hard to work that through. Yeah. And you guys will probably talk about it in class, but there's sort of a lot of the discussion at the end was how do we accommodate? It's easy to advocate and protect in documents collective rights internationally as long as the collective rights are being exercised in a way that doesn't infringe individual rights. The complication comes when you have a clash, right? When a collective whose rights are protected internationally is violating individual rights, and sometimes it's not. It's like things like Presidente Cali was saying. Things that are violation, like banishment, maybe violations of international law, but it's the collective's right. And so, how do we adapt the system?
When you are applying that to indigenous people, it's a big question.
Yeah.
But when you are applying to other people, it's not a question, because for example, there is a principle in the national legal system in Guatemala, and I think here in the U.S. also. Nothing is going to be against the common interest, even if it's going to be an individual interest. I don't know how to say that en English, to explain that in English. El principio es de que el interés individual no puede estar sobre el interés común.
Yeah, so.
Individual interests can't supersede common interests.
Yeah, and common interest means national interest. But why, when it's talking about indigenous people, no, one moment, please. But because the common interest of the indigenous people cannot be on the individual interest. And that is something we argue in the United Nations. And we argue in Guatemala also.
Is that the people's interest or the government's interest?
Exactly.
Right.
So that's why they were very angry with us.
Yeah.
Because depends on when, on whom you are going to apply the law. Because it's for indigenous people. The land of the indigenous people. You can go through the indigenous land. But if you go through in a non-indigenous land, one moment, because a individual property is sacred under the constitutional law. But it's indigenous people, you can go.
Yeah.
You can pass through. It's
Yeah.
two level or two way of application the law. So that's why we say no. If we are going to be equal, we have to be equal in every levels, because equality can be applied in two different ways, as we argue with the Convention 169 of ILO, in Article 1, subletter B, I think, when they say indigenous people have the right of self-determination. And there is a footnote where it said, self-determination doesn't mean the same thing that means in international law. So there are two different self-determination rights. Self-determination where you decide to be a separate state, and for indigenous people that doesn't have any right on that issue. So we say that to them. So that's why I mean that depends how the law is going to be applied. For indigenous people, it's different, always. Doesn't matter if it's here in the US or in Latin America. It's very, for at least for me, it's very difficult to say how it's going to be applied the law to those people, because for us, for example, for us, if I went out from my community for, let's say, 10, 15 years, and now I get back to there, I am conscious that I have to be under the system of law of the community. But it's myself.
Yeah.
And my family also, they know that. The problem is that those people who went out, who were not able to be, to learn about the system that his or her community is applying. And at least for us, one of the link that we have, even that we are out of the community, is the communication that we continue to have with the community. Grandfathers, fathers or brothers and sisters, that we continue that communication with our community, even that we are out of that community. And the problem is that when all the family went out of the community and they lose all the communication with the community. And after that they came back, that will be a problem. Because they, in a way, they are not anymore indigenous peoples. In a way, I mean.
Yeah.
But because they have not been grow with the system of indigenous people community. But in the other way, they have all the right to identify themselves as an indigenous person. That's why I'm saying that for me it's very difficult to say, because I was left from my community 15 years.